Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. I'm very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. And welcome to Let's Read Some Movie Articles. I've never done a video like this before, but there's a couple that I want to vent a little bit about and shoot down and speak a bit of truth, and I'm sure you'll appreciate that too. I'm sure not many of you are going to come in for this video, but look, it's something that I felt I had to do. So first of all, we're going to talk about the Joker movie actor and comedian Marc Maron, because he's been triggering MCU fans. Now, normally, I'd be going, yeah, and some of the stuff he's saying is brilliant, but ultimately, the ultra commentary is that he hates comic book movies, he hates superheroes, and he's calling older guys who like superheroes, geeks and nerds and man babies, blah, blah, blah. Look, he can call me what he wants. I'm a proud geek, nerd, man baby. I am what I am, and I'm proud of it. I don't want to be him. He's also spoken about on his Twitter about how he likes real life heroes. In other words, people who like, fictional heroes are stupid, right? Well, Mark, let me explain to you about real life heroes. I used to have real life heroes. I used to look up to actors and celebrities and things like that. People like Kevin Spacey, people like Bryan Singer. That really didn't work out for me, right? I used to admire Alison Mack, who played Chloe in Smallville, a fabulous actress who came out with that typical Hollywood trope, that feminist trope, female empowerment. She told a bunch of young women to come to a place to learn about female empowerment and to be their own people so they don't need men. What was that place she led them to? A cult where young women were being tortured and who knows what else. So don't tell me, Mark, about real life heroes. I think I'll stick with Superman, right, and other fictional characters. Shall we read this article from comicbook.com? Joker star tells Marvel movie fans to stop acting like outraged religious fanatics. Joker star Marc Maron told Marvel fans to avoid acting like outraged religious fanatics after his anti-Marvel movie sentiments were widely publicised over the weekend. And as I say, really, it's not that he just hates Marvel. He hates all superheroes and all superhero movies. And people are allowed not to like what we like. That's fine. But why do you have to make a big deal out of it? Why do you have to trigger people? And as I say, if he was just triggering MCU fans, it will be quite funny, especially after the week they had last week, because I've been kind of triggering them too. But, hey, Marvel movie fans, stop acting like outraged religious fanatics defending their belief system. It's okay if I don't believe, Maron tweeted. Let it go. Also, I'm actually a big fan of a lot of comic art. Try to relax your mainstream asses. Okay, it's kind of funny. Hey, Marvel movie for basically, that's the original post. Right, Maron's tweet follows an appearance on Conan where the comedian said of comic book movies, I have some issues with them. I generally don't like them. I don't want to be bullied into seeing those movies. I'm a grown-up. I'm not 7. I think those movies are for grown male nerd childs. Charming. Because Maron next stars in the DC Comics-inspired Joker, an R-rated spin-off exploring the famed Batman villain, the star has faced widespread criticism for appearing in a comic book movie while making disparaging comments about the genre in the media. I've been somewhat judgmental when it comes to comic book movies, and I've got a little pushback in the press for being a hypocrite. Whatever I think, if you get a call and someone says, hey, do you want to do a scene with Robert De Niro and Joaquin Phoenix? Your principles fall to the wayside. That's very true. Maron previously told NME it is relative to what I think of Marvel movies. Then it's like, yeah, of course, I'm going to do that. Oddly, it's not that kind of movie. And of course, Mark is right. Instead, Maron said director Todd Phillips took more of an origin story and the character study of a mentally ill person that becomes the Joker. It's more of an intimate and gritty movie with a specific scope, Maron added. It's going to be really interesting to see how it comes out. Producer Michael E. Uslan previously said Joker is unlike any comic book movie you've ever seen. Hey, ain't that the truth? Saying in July the movie is different and unique in the way Guardians of the Galaxy and Deadpool were unlike standard comic book fare. Joker opens October the 4th. I would say, although Guardians of the Galaxy is different and it's set in space, blah, it still has a feeling of an MCU movie. I'd say that, of course, Deadpool is very different, very deadpan. it's just nuts. The first Deadpool is an awesome movie. So basically, this is much ado about nothing. I just thought I'd read it to you because it kind of got my attention. Because originally, when he's talking about triggering Marvel movie fans, I think it's quite funny. And when you look at the Warner Brothers DCEU movies, especially BVS and Batman v Superman, they're not generic mainstream movies, are they? There's something extremely different, extremely unique, and totally different. So maybe he is just having a go. Look, I think the MCU is going to start getting a lot more flat. People are going to get a lot more braver. It's the beginning of the end for them. There's no question about it now. People are speaking out against them, and they're starting to realise what the MCU is. A generic movie franchise of movies where you watch it once, you walk out, and you forget it. Then you go to the press where they boast how much money Disney are making, and that's where the interest finishes. People are coming out. People like Mark are fed up because the movie wall is closing in and there's not much scope for variety. It's literally that type of movie and Disney's generic movie fare that are making money, and people are growing concerned for the industry they work in. This is why this anger is happening, but obviously MCU fans are getting triggered. I've made my point about him saying, oh, I like real-life heroes. Well, real-life heroes will disappoint you. Fictional ones never will. And that, my friends, is a fact. Now, next, I'm going to read a Hollywood Reporter article trying to spin how badly the box office was this summer. And I'm going to basically translate it for you and tell you the truth. This really is the funniest article, and I saw it as soon as I woke up. I'll tell a lie, as soon as I got in from where I was, very drunk and very, a bit hungover and stuff. But I read it. I love reading those first articles of the day. But this one is the biggest bullshit you'll ever read. Because the Hollywood Reporter do like to boast about Hollywood because basically they're in the pocket of all the studios. So this headline is Box Office Hollywood's High Hope for Summer End with a Bummer. I kind of suspect Hollywood knew they didn't have much to make billions and billions this summer. But we'll read on. And I like the way they've got the picture of Sophie Turner in the latest X-Men film, trying to blame it all on that film. But some of the spin on this is brilliant, and I'm going to shoot it down for you. Despite a starry lineup of sequel and remakes, revenue for the season is running 2% behind last year, contributing to a 6% downturn at the domestic box office so far in 2019. 6%, big deal, boo-hoo. Are all these executives of studios going to go hungry? I think not. While a record number of summer tentpoles crossed the 1 billion mark at the global box office, thanks mostly to Disney, I thought they'd get that in, yeah? The season is headed for a troublesome finish as the Labor Day weekend approaches. Preliminary Comscore estimates show summer revenue clocking into $4.33 billion through September the 3rd, a 2% decline over the same corridor in 2018. This puts additional pressure on the September-December calendar to close the 6% to a date gap over 2019, when ticket sales in North America hit a record high of 11.9 billion. Now, this is interesting for me, how they always talk about domestic. Nobody cares about domestic. It's what you make altogether as a company, but the media are obsessed with going on because America is so much bigger and better than everybody else. And isn't it funny how we're talking about box office again, but not what's in the content of the films themselves, because they can't. Because the content of the films are crap, especially the Disney ones, especially the Marvel ones. But you talk about box office, it's all good for Disney, isn't it? Only one original summer event featured Quentin Tarantino and Sony's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood crossed the 100 million threshold at the domestic box office. That compares with only one last year, The Meg, 1.4 million, and 3 the year before, Dunkirk, 188 million, Girls Trip 11, 115.2 million, and Baby Driver, we are going back now, aren't we, 107.9 million. The summer of 2019 has been an interesting one with many tough lessons learned. You never learn your lesson, Hollywood. You're just going to make the same load of crap again. unless you actually learn from this Joker movie that's coming that will pick up the financial flack that you're losing out on, because it's going to hit big, like it or not. There are many examples from box office history where counter-programming a smaller film against a blockbuster can attract a broader range of the audience. The barraging continues. There were some expectations, but this summer, God, stop using big words of matchups that saw the scrappy upstart getting steamrolled by sure things shows that audiences may be choosing to plunk down their hard-earned dollars on well-known franchises and IP rather than taking a risk on a lesser-known property. Yes, that's true. And mainly the Disney ones, because they know when they go to Disney, they're going to watch a generic piece of crap that they can clap and laugh at and then forget about when they leave. That's the truth. So you're right, but who taught the audience to do this? And it's done via marketing and subliminal advertising as well. This is awesome. This is amazing. So people are not interested in films where people just sit there and talk. They're awesome and compelling, but this generation isn't being taught to appreciate those type of films. That's concerning, and the Joker movie can really turn that around. Movies that got lost include the Charlize Theron Seth Rogen comedy Long Shot, 30.3 million. Yeah, that's no surprise. The R-rated comedy Stoob at 22.4 million, and Mindy Kaling's Late Night starring Emma Thompson, 15.5 million. That's no surprise, is it? In the plus column is the Elton John biopic Rocketman, which almost reached 100 million domestically, 96.2 million, and the Beatles theme yesterday, 72.4 million, as expected. Contributing to the malaise this summer was a number of franchise installments fell short, including Dark Phoenix. Look, Dark Phoenix didn't fall short. Dark Phoenix was a flop. And it was a flop because people are bored of the X-Men films, because it's just another X-Men film that's not that particularly interesting. I mean, I think the first X-Men First Class was very, very good, but then I think the problem with X-Men First Class was a great film, but then they replaced the director. Bryan Singer took centre stage again, and it became problematic. Bryan did two very good X-Men, and it should have been left at that, and they could have kept on refreshing it, and it would have been awesome. And now that Disney owned that franchise could have continued with the MCU some way, and it would have been awesome. But now they have to start again, and that brings some difficulties, especially when you have to replace Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, aka Logan. That's very problematic. How are you going to do that? And Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and Men in Black International. Men in Black International was always going to be a flop because it was a generic, boring film. You can't Marvelize Men in Black. People want to see Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith. If they can't, they're not going to watch it. Godzilla, King of the Monsters did okay, especially abroad. That film was never going to reach the money they wanted either. Disney, whose domestic market share is a staggering 40% or more when counting Fox films. Oh, we're counting Fox films, are we? We're going to cheat now, right? Okay. Commands 3 of the top 5 performing summer films in North America. The Lion King, which was rubbish. Toy Story 4, which was average. And Aladdin, which was awful, by the way. Globally, all 3 have earned north of $1 billion alongside Sony's Spider-Man Far From Home. Co-produced by the Disney-owned Marvel Studios. There's also Disney and Marvel's Avengers Endgame, which hit theatres April the 26th, 1 week before the official start of summer. Endgame has earned $858.2 million domestically and $1.94 billion overseas for a worldwide haul of $2.8 billion. That's just under $3 billion, by the way. That's amazing. Of course it is. But again, I didn't really enjoy that film. I thought it was really ordinary and boring for the first 2 hours, and it got interesting in the last hour. But everyone will just see the box office because they never talk about the content, and no one dares give these films an honest bad review, so nobody will ever know what you and I know, that it wasn't all that. Now, Infinity War was a great movie. Whether you watch it as part of the MCU or on its own, that film works because we actually got a DCEU type villain who actually had depth and cause and was making important decisions. We didn't really have that in Endgame. Endgame, for me, if I'm honest, was boring. But it's a success. It made money. It's the most successful film of all time. So who cares if it was crap and boring and mediocre, right? It's difficult to say the summer start is set in stone when for 2 years running massive record-breaking Marvel films have been released in late April and generated hundreds of millions of dollars before the first Friday in May rolled around. Notes, yes, basically this is another reason. The studios don't care about the summer period anymore. They've watered it down, and all the big films come out in April and May now. So there's really nothing really big coming. The summer season's dead now. Because actually Hollywood have woken up and realised everyone's on fucking holiday in the summer. So let's have a big kind of March, April, May, right? That's awesome. Although next year I think Wonder Woman 1984 is out in July time, is it? June time? So the summer will be back next year. But they do seem to be watering down the summer blockbuster, and there's not much about them. Thanks in large measure to Marvel's Endgame, Warner Bros. Detective Pikachu, and Lionsgate's John Wick Chapter 3, Parablem revenue for the month of May hit a record $1.079 billion according to Comscore. June, however, was down 13% year over year. That's because they don't bother releasing anything too big anymore. That was followed by $1.29 billion in July, a year-over-year uptick of 7%. To date, August revenue isn't setting any records, and it won't because there's nothing out. Revenue isn't setting any records, despite the notable performance of Fast and Furious spin-offs Hobbs and Shaw, Good Boys, and Frequel Angel Has Fallen. These are films that the whole movie-going consumer isn't going to go and see. They're not explaining the situation properly, right? There isn't really... Look, the problem in Hollywood, they're not making real interesting movies. There isn't a variety of films anymore. The problem in Hollywood isn't money. They're making the money, but they're making it not in the summer. And this is what this dishonest article won't talk about. Beyond last year, when domestic revenue for the May-August season clocked in at $4.41 billion, summer 2019 looks to come in ahead of the 2017 $3.84 billion and 2014 $4.6 billion, but behind 2016 $4.49 billion. Are you keeping up? Because I'm not. 2015 $4.48 billion, an all-time best of $4.75 billion in 2013, because 2013 had actually some good summer blockbusters. You had World War Z, you had Man of Steel, and there was another one. So it was a pretty awesome summer, probably the last great summer blockbusters we had. The record showing of summer 2013 was led by a collective strength of Iron Man 3, Despicable Me 2, there you go, Man of Steel, Monsters University, Fast and Furious, and Darkness, World War Z, The Heat, and Where the Millers, Great Gatsby, and Grown Ups 2. So that was back to having the classic summer releases, wasn't it? Historically, summer revenue can account for as much as 40% of the year. That's the point, historically. But that's not always been the case. In 2017, the summer only contributed 35% to $3.84 billion, while yearly revenue reached $11.1 billion, and summer 2018 contributed to 37% of the year's record-shattering $11.9 billion. The news is far from being all doom and gloom on paper. The upcoming 2019 calendar is chock full of promising tentpoles, including It's Chapter 2, which is going to do great, September the 6th. Joker, yes. Terminator Dark Fate, I don't know. That's either going to be a flop or an awesome win. That's my phone. I'm not going to answer it. Just ignore it. We got Frozen, 2nd of November, which is going to make loads of money. Jumanji, this is an interesting one. It was a shock hit for the first film, but who knows how this one's going to do. The next level. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. Again, we really don't know. Is this going to be a typical Star Wars film making a lot of money? Now J.J. Abrams is back at the wheel. Are people going to get excited enough to make the film a million, a couple of billion? It's meant to be the last of the Skywalker saga. We will see. And Little Women. You can forget about Little Women, by the way. So it's a very, very interesting read. But as I say, there is no summer blockbuster season anymore. There is an autumn. You see, even in the autumn now, there's a downturn of big movies. This year's actually last year as well, last October, we had Venom, didn't we? And this year we got the Joker. So it looks to me now, what's going on, you've got a good February, March, April, May, and then they don't really bother with big films in the summer. Then they skip to the autumn, or the fall as you Americans call it. I still don't know why you call it the fall. Maybe you can explain that to me in the comments down below. And then you've got a fall movie like Joker or Venom, and it just looks like they're splitting big films from the beginning of the year till kind of the last third of the year, and it doesn't seem to be really that drive for summer movies. But as I say, next year we do have Wonder Woman 1984. As far as I know, that's a summer release, so that's interesting. So that should bump up the summer. That's going to be a massive film for DC fans, Warner Brothers as a studio, and we'll see how we get on with that. But basically, it is an interesting read, but it's much ado about nothing because they haven't even. Frozen 2 is going to. Do you know what I mean? And Joker is going to make a lot of money. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, even though I don't know how that's going to do, I would assume that's going to at least make $1 billion. So that's good. So there's a lot of money to be made. Basically, the problem with Hollywood movies as a whole right now, as I said while I was reading the article, isn't really money. Disney are bringing the big money, but even the other studios like WB are still making good, solid money. They might not be breaking record after record, but the money's there. The profit margin isn't really the problem. It's the content that's the problem. It's a lack of variety in the content. Interesting films. Not as many indie films are making money like they were maybe 20 or 30 years ago. So Hollywood, and I think this is what the Joker movie is going to do, because what the Joker movie does, it takes a comic book character and says, we're going to make a real movie out of this. There's going to be dialogue. Yes, there'll be violence. This is how there's not one green screen shot scene in this film. So this is a massive moment. I think this movie will reset how movies are seen and made, and there'll be more of a variety. And I think there will be less green screen movies because once people see the Joker, they'll say, give me more of them. And it will set certain precedents that people, especially, hate to say this word, SJWs won't like, but ultimately Hollywood realise now that being overly concerned about people being offended about what they see shouldn't be the problem. The real movies, when I grew up, good movies made money, whether that was Goodfellas, The Untouchables. They were good movies that had character, that had incident, that really made a big statement. And ultimately, this is what people want to see, as well as the blockbusters, because growing up, I still had blockbusters, but I still had A Perfect World. I still had the kind of real films, as I call them. And I think the Joker movie could take Hollywood back to that. And for me, that's a beautiful moment in cinematic history.